So this is going to be a demo on putting all of our different forms together. So for this, you're going to need a banding wheel, some kind of board, stick tool, needle tool, some kind of scoring tool. An X-Acto knife is very handy, and a brush, and a sponge, and a small bucket of water. So I chose this painting here. This is a cubist painting. It was from one of the resources that I posted on image resources on Canvas. And then I kind of looked at the different shapes and so forth that are in this painting, and looking at the shapes that I had to work with, created this kind of quick sketch. You guys are going to do a lot more detailed sketches, but you can see how the different shapes that I'm pointing to correlate from the painting to my sketch. So I'm going to start with my rounded base. And this is going to give you a nice structure base to start off with, plus it mimics the base shape in the painting. That is key. And then I'm going to put my square here. I'm kind of finding where I want to put the square. And then I pull out my X-Acto knife, and then I place it where I would like it, and then I trace where it's touching, or I kind of do little score marks. And that allows me to figure out where I need to cut a little hole here, so that the actual rounded half sphere base would actually go slightly into the square, and then it'll give me more surface area for it to slip and score to. So I'm just cutting out a small little circle here, and then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to bevel that. Just how we beveled our slabs to create our cylinders and our cubes, I'm going to bevel this so that the surface area that is going to be touching this rounded surface is actually going to fit nicely in there. So just that you see this slight bevel, nothing too detailed, and then I'm going to place it back, kind of see how it fits, find the spot that I like, and then I'm going to then mark that on the bottom as well, so I can see where I need to score. And then just slip and score. You want to slip and score really well, especially if one piece is a little stiffer than the other. You really want to get really deep scores. Don't do any surface scores. You really want to get deep in there. And then add water or slip, and then score it a second time. So we always want to score, slip, and then score again when we're building these. And I'm doing that to both sides. And you can see here, I'm being very generous on the surface area that I'm scoring. I'm actually overscoring a little bit. That way I have plenty of contact surface area. And then any of those score marks that show up, you can smooth out. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So again, some water, scoring a second time. Really deep scores. That's why I like this little needle tool. X-Acto knife works really well. And then I'm going to find that spot again, and then I'm just going to kind of give it a nice little jiggle with some firm pressure. Not too much pressure to crack or break something, but just enough to get it stuck. And then gets stuck, and then I will use a brush and smooth out everything out. And now here I am just I'm looking at my drawing, looking at my sculpture, and figuring out where I want to place my cylinder. And so I want my cylinder to butt up against it a little bit more, so I'm going to cut off a corner section of that so I have a flat surface that it attaches to. So I'm using my X-Acto knife to kind of cut that off. The X-Acto knife is really nice. You just want to be careful when it's stiff. You can slip and poke yourself. Please be careful with that. Also, the shear form tool is really nice, so I'm just using that to get a nice even plane. And then I'm putting it up against my piece where I was wanting it, seeing how it fits, and then adjusting that angle with the shear form, you see. So now it fits really well. I got my spot, mark it with the X-Acto knife, kind of trace around where it's going to attach so I know where to slip and score. So you can see that little mark there, and I'll just go in and really score that whole surface on both sides. Again, really deep scores. Some water, and then scoring it again. And then make sure you do it on both sides just as well. And then once you have that on there, you want to quickly match that up, the right way you want. And then again, for a firm, like kind of slight jiggle to it will really work those two things in, just like Velcro almost. And then I'm using the brush to smooth out my cracks and that excess slip that kind of oozed out, and any kind of score marks that are on the surface that are visible. And you can go in further and clean that up even more later after you get it all put together. But the brush does a great job with this. So now I'm looking at this, and now I have my base form, my cube, and my cylinder just like in my drawing. And now I want to add my circle, but I want to add it to that front part. So I'm going to take my circle, kind of match it up with my drawing, and then I don't want it kind of hanging out. That's sticking out way too much for me. So I'm going to cut part of it off so that I have a nice flat kind of jetting out area. And that also gives me more surface area for it to attach to, making it a lot more sturdy and less likely to crack off. So, and I'm slipping and scoring this vigorously because it is a little stiffer than I would like. So I am really exaggerating the amount that I'm slipping and scoring. And then, so that's a hollow sphere, and then I have a hollow cube. So I'm going to poke a hole in between on one side so that air can get through the sphere into the cube. And then I poke a hole in the sphere as well, right there. And that allows air to travel. And you want to make sure you don't block off and you create any more balloons. So always remember to have a hole somewhere where the air can escape. So again, now I'm going to the cone, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how I want to set the set. So just like the other shapes, I kind of want it to set in on itself. So I'm kind of looking at that angle and cutting off a piece so that it can fit in there nice. So I cut it off, and then I place it back and see how it fits. So I didn't cut off quite enough on the bottom, so I just cut more off, get that angle out. And so I'm just going to place it where I want it, look at how it's setting, cut any more off where I need it so it sets nice and flush. And then once I find how that fits really nice, then I'll just, again, slip and score, and you attach it. So now I found my spot. It looks just like my drawing. And again, trace the piece while it's on the place you want, so you know where to slip and score. Slip and score with some water or slip, and then score twice. Always score twice with these. You really want to get that surface really worked in together. Like I said, think about Velcro, and then firmly, but not too firmly, kind of jiggle it into place. You see I pointed to a few little holes, little gaps there, but I can fix that by just adding some fresh clay with a little bit of slipping and scoring to cover up any of those holes. And there you are. So I started out with this painting, referencing this painting. And by analyzing the shapes I had and the shapes in the painting, I created this drawing. And then that drawing then got turned into this sculpture. And we'll do surface decorations next time.